Storyland is basically an idea set up by Irish Kent out in RTE, looking for new writing, directing, just basically filmmaking talent to do a 6-part short series online. I think the year before us, the Hardy books had won. I don't know. And we won the 2nd season, and they're just at the moment in the middle of their 3rd season of Storyland. So it's just basically a competition to find new talent out there and give them a chance, basically. That's the way.
And the way that it's organised is like 8 scripts start out, isn't it? And then everybody votes, and 7 get to make episode 2, and then everybody votes, and 6 get to make episode 3.
It's a continuous rotation. I think originally when we started, 172 people had applied, and then it was narrowed down to 16, and then narrowed down to 8.
Yeah.
And so you'd write the first episode. We actually wrote the first episodes, and then people voted online, and then the program with the less votes would lead the competition. So it's constantly waiting to see would you win, writing a script, shooting, putting it back online.
Put it back. I mean, you got about 8,000 for each script. Was it 8,000?
€8,000 for each script.
To make each episode. As it went on.
Yeah.
And tell us something. Did you write? So that is basically you're just writing one about every 3 weeks. If you won. So if you, for the first episode you wrote, and was it about 3 weeks later you discovered you
about 3 weeks later you kind of realise you get the phone call, as we used to call it, to say you've got through to the next round. So I'd have to go back to the typewriter, or the typewriter, I'm not from 1950. back to the laptop and rework a new script.
And so tell me something, so ultimately you made 8 episodes of this. Had you plotted out the 8 episodes? 6 episodes, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, had you plotted out the 6 episodes?
Yeah, well I say that now. We did originally have a constant storyline, but just because of things like weather and certain things, we decided to change it up. And as well as because we were kind of we were doing it on the spot, it was good just to change up a little bit in the storyline, or throw in a joke that was fresh. Yeah. So basically that was it.
So it essentially evolved then over about what's that, 18-week, 5-month period?
I think it was before Christmas, and then we ended up finishing in May of last year. So it was a long process. Connor, who directed the series, had directed a feature film a couple of years ago called Dead Meat, which is a low-budget zombie horror film. Check it out, it actually really is good. But he said it was more difficult doing the Storyland series than it actually was shooting a feature film. So it's going to show you it is tough.
And how long did you have to shoot each episode of Zombie Batches?
About 3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah. And why zombies?
Why not?
I'm just curious. Like what's it? Because you've got a long interest in zombies.
I love zombies. I think the first ever film I ever watched years ago was, I think it was a really bad copied version of Dawn of the Dead, which was made in the 70s, and I just kind of really like them. I think they're a great way of making kind of low budget yet entertaining films. So I'm just kind of addicted to them. They're pretty fun. I think as well. I think like in terms of entertainment, I think there's a lot of computer games out now that involves killing zombies and stuff like that. I think it's just like a guilty pleasure. You can kill a human being, but you don't have to feel bad about it because it's already dead. So it's a guilty pleasure, you know. And
how much of the budget did you put? I mean, they're very. The special effects are amazing. How much of the budget? Well, did you just go for the prosthetic route? You know, in terms of, I mean, I think everybody would agree, because there was the responses to blood going everywhere, and then the face turns and half the face is gone. Was that done in editing, or was it done, did you actually?
The half the face was actually done by a company called Demon Productions, who do CGI. They're relatively new, but they're very good. It's run by a guy called Clondalkin. And so most of it we decided to do was in CGI, but a lot of it was prosthetics, like the arm being ripped off. We go to the old school methods of filmmaking, which would be the prosthetics, and a guy called Ben O'Connor who did the prosthetic side of it. So in terms of budget, most of the money went into special effects.
But you didn't see, I don't know, has anybody seen the crowd scenes in Zombie Batches? Did any of you see? There's some scenes where there's these huge number of people.
Yeah.
And they all look like the guy in the back garden, you know. Yeah. They've all sort of got blood coming. Even there's a child, there's one scene where there's a child.
Oh, the baby zombie, that's quite fun. That was Terry, I think Terry was here earlier actually. She was given, I don't know if you were around her, she was given a makeup coach. Terry, who she was working on a low budget feature film called Portrait of a Zombie, and me and Connor kind of gate crashed the set to see what the zombies look like. So we basically stole her away from a feature film and brought her over to our show, and she just did a wonderful job. Like that scene we shot out in, I actually never remember the place, somewhere out in Bray, and there was something like 50 extras, and she did every single one of them. And
she did every single one. That's what I was wondering. I mean, that's an amazing piece of work. Like, it's a huge thing to shoot.
It was a
big,
huge day. That was what we call our Kill Bill day. It's basically where our characters just chopped up a load of zombies for fun for about 7 hours. There was blood everywhere.
But they just kept coming, and so that was all done in makeup.
That was all done in makeup, including the 2-year-old baby who was brought to the set was put blood all over him, and he absolutely loved it. It's really funny because if you watch the episodes online, he's doing the zombie walk, but it's because he's going up into his mother's arms. So it was just a great piece of editing that more than anything, but it worked very well. We got a good reaction out of it.
I mean, because it's interesting to see something done on that scale and done so well, but on such a low budget.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real example. I know that people would have worked for lower rates maybe than they normally did, but you know, or voluntarily. Tell me about meeting Connor, who is the director.
Connor McMahon.
I mean, you obviously work very well together.
Yeah, we actually get on like a house on fire. This is always sounds really weird whenever I say it in newspapers. Me and Connor met at a speed dating event. I know, I did a newspaper article before and mentioned that, and it didn't come off as well as when you say it. But what happens is the Writers Guild in Ireland and the Directors Guild in Ireland meet May Ken, but you know that, and they meet. And it's a great way for writers to pitch ideas to directors, because usually you send in a treatment to a producer and they just go, no, I'm not interested. That's the way it works. But it's a great way of meeting them. And I just met Connor that day and we just chatted about zombies for about 25 minutes. And we went off to make a horror film. Well, we were going to do a horror film, but we just decided to do Storyland as a kind of get out of jail class, because we got kind of tired of the script, so we wanted to do something comedy, so we ended up doing zombie bashers together.
And can you see that that's a partnership that you're going to continue?
We actually are still working together at the moment on the Republic of Telly, so it's a great kind of, we just laugh at things, we find everything just so funny.
Because it's very hard, I mean, to get for a writer and a director to get together, that's a very special relationship, isn't it? I mean, it's great when it actually works.
A lot of directors in Ireland, I find, are actually writers themselves, so they have one clear vision of what they want, and it's kind of different between a writer and director, because obviously you're handing your piece of work over to someone else who's going to make it. So,
but trust there.
Yeah, you say that. But no, you do. You have to kind of trust them. It's a good relationship. Like we just have fun. We've never argued about anything, which is always a good way to start. If you're a director, don't argue. Yeah. So it's always good.
And tell us something, you started out wanting to be a camera person, did you?
I did. I trained to be a director of photography in Ballyvernon, not by choice, because I was told that in the industry here in Ireland, you get more work as a cameraman or something like that, so I trained to be a cinematographer, and I just ended up falling into writing by pure chance.
Travelling around America?
I was travelling around America. I picked up a book by a guy called Sid Field, and if anyone's ever interested in getting into screenwriting, pick up this book. It's called The Definitive Guide to Screenwriting by Sid Field, and it just teaches you everything you need to know. There's loads of other ones, I'm sure they work as well, but I read this while I was travelling around America, and it just made me want to go out and write. And
did you have any sense, like when you're just saying when you're in your early teens or something, would you have thought of being a writer? Is that something that would have, you know, when they asked you that question in school, what are you going to be when you grow up?
Yeah, no, it never really occurred to me. Like I knew I was good at short stories and stuff like that, but I never thought you could actually make a living out of writing. You know, you think, well, what do you want to be? You go to film school, everyone wants to be a director. There's no doubt about it. Everyone wants to be in charge. No one wants to be a producer, because then you have to spend other people's money. But the director tells you how to spend other people's money, so everyone wants to be a director. But never ever thought I would fall into writing.
Are there any questions at this point? Does anybody have any questions they want to ask?
Sorry, mate, what was the name of that book again?
It's called The Definitive Guide to Screenwriting by Sid Field. You can pick it up in many, Easton's I think do so.
Cool, thanks man.
And tell me something, the casting of it, can I just come back again to the casting of it? Where did you find Mick Pascal and also Hammer, is it? You know,
Scissors.
No, the other guy, the ones from the conflicting.
Oh, it was ZTU.
ZTU,
yeah. Oh, Lance Armbar, greatest name I ever came up with. Pascal, who's kind of the bald fellow with the dodgy comb over, he was in Connor's original. He actually went to college with Connor, if I'm not mistaken, and he's not even an actor. I think he's a photographer by trade. And he was in Connor's first feature called Dead Meat, which is about mad cows infecting people and they turn to zombies. I know. But it is actually, I actually did really enjoy it. And Connor said, would you be interested in doing this? And Owen, who plays Pascal, said yes. And Clyde, who plays Scissors, he was in another one of Connor's films called Disturbed. So basically he was just like the two actors from who he worked with and thought these parts would work great. And they did actually, they did a great job. And as regards the Lance Armber, the kind of leader, if you watch the series, they were kind of an American group that they don't get on with. And he was in another film called The Blacksters, which was a short film produced by Connor. So Connor knew loads of people who were in the show.
And people who sort of enjoyed being part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the extras as well. I mean, the other people, the woman there that you know, are these all people that you sort of gathered on the way? Or
funny thing about the extras really is we set up a Facebook page when we were making the show, and eventually we thought, why not just get the people who like the show in to be zombies? So we put up a comment saying anyone would like to be an extra, and we got tons of replies.
Wow.
Actually, we got more than we were actually looking for.
wow.
So we knew we had a kind of a big fan base, especially people who would love just go for the day and become a zombie.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
And when that's an interesting thing. What other use of social media did you use?
Oh.
Because obviously the whole concept is based on public voting.
Yeah. Oh, we used everything: Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, anything we could get our hands on. Anything that was free, basically, because advertising is not cheap. So we just were like Twitter, Facebook. We had a lot of Facebook fans. Facebook was our main hub for people who we really were interested in the show and would hit comments. And then the characters would set up Facebook pages as well, so they would have an interaction with the characters. And Owen would be the balding comb-over guy online, so you could chat to him and stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting.
And so the characters brought into that as well. You didn't have to write it all.
No, I didn't have to write. The characters would do them themselves.
Because that can be one of the really hard parts, can't it? Of very often people think that social media will spread it around, but actually somebody has to do the work. You know, somebody has to provide the narrative across Twitter, across Facebook. But
it was good. Like we would have me and Ruth and Julianne, who were the producers, and Connor himself. We actually sometimes didn't even have to do half the work. Sometimes it was just people who were fans of the show would spread it on. So other people would go check out this link on like chat rooms and stuff like that. And we had fans in America and the Uruguay and stuff like that. So it went out a good bit over the world.
Yeah. So. Tell me something else. Just coming back to the process of writing. How much of the script was improvised? I mean, there were some brilliant lines there, and then there were others that I just wondered, like how much was improvised, how much was written, how much did they follow a script, or did you give them the shape of what was to happen?
I'd say it was about a kind of 50-50 collaboration. I would do most of the story and some of the jokes, and then sometimes the characters would go off, like the tits and the fish joke. That was completely improvised, but it worked very well. And then some like the jokes, like you didn't actually hear the line because he was all laughing, but when he shoots the zombie and the blood sprays up onto the window, Pascal actually says, look, you have to do into the fucking window. That's where he's marking standard. Now he'd have to clean, he won't clean it, Scissors will clean it. So a lot of my stuff got in and a lot of the characters or the actors got a lot of their stuff in, so it was good fun.
And so did you you didn't do dialogue from the beginning, you didn't write the opening shot?
No. I just did the kind of bulk of what was the spine of the story basically in the episode, and then I'd write in the dialogue and then we'd talk, and sometimes Owen would change, he'd say, oh, this line will work well, and then sometimes go, oh yeah, this would be good. So we kind of just come together and work it into one big kind of giant pot, and then it'd be up to Connor then to edit it all together so it makes sense. Yeah.
And did you have any problems reaching the duration? It had to be a particular duration. Did you?
No, we actually would go over the duration a lot originally. The brief was to write a 7-page script, but I'd always write a 12-page script so we could cut back on it. But they'd actually go out and shoot the 12 pages, and so we'd have to edit a lot of it out. But eventually we kind of got used to narrowing it down to 7. And
then how much of the sound effects, like this huge sounds, particularly say the zombie one, again, you just have to look it online or on YouTube. It's all there on YouTube. And this huge, when you have these big zombie crowds, their fantastic sound effects and going in on individual people. That was presumably created all in post as
That
well.
was Ruth, who's producer. She did a lot of the sound work on it. But she found a lot of the sound from, you can get everything online now, so you can go onto online websites and they'll give you great sound effects, but all the sound really is down to Ruth. She did it. She did the sound editing and then she did a great job on it.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing sound, you know, for that.
Yeah.
Guys, any questions for Stephen at writing or?
He'd be a zombie. You get this TV show off the ground, of course, he's going to be a zombie.
Yeah.
The Facebook thing, it's just go on Facebook and type in zombie bashers and it'll come up and you just click and usual thing.
What made you book Breton Morgan?
Oh, Breffney, that's a good one. You all know who Breffney Morgan is off The Apprentice, the kind of, yeah. I actually don't know how we came about. We were the idea came up to do an online ad where it's like, well, let's say celebrity, was to kind of advertise the thing I came up with called Zombie Gun, which is a household spray to get rid of your zombies. And we just sent them to people like Marty Whelan, we went through, and other people. Breffney Morgan was kind of said, yeah, I do it. He was up for anything, so he came down. If you actually go online, you can see the full ad where he sprays himself in the face with the thing and becomes a zombie and chases it around. So you can check it out online on YouTube. I'm sure it's up there somewhere.
So you did try other people, and it was just he's the person who came through and said, yes, I'll do it.
Yeah, he said do, and then other people started getting into it. Gavin Duffy of Dragon's Den. He came onto it. I can't actually think his last name. I think it was someone else, but I'm not too sure. Gavin Duffy, he came from Dragon's Den. They actually, the lads go and pitch the company to him in his office, and Scissors asked him for a job because he thinks he's not going to get one. So it was good fun.
Yeah, he's very good in it.
Anyone else?
Any other questions?
Stephen, perhaps you could tell us about, did you write the entire 8-episode arc?
Yeah, well, this is really funny actually. We came up with the concept of the season in Eddie Rockets in an hour because I was hungry. And Connor said, okay, so we came up with it that we'd have the guys and then the kind of rival group. The best way I could describe it, I said to Connor, is you've all seen Father Ted. Do you know the way there's Ted and then there's Father, I think it's Dick or is that? Father, no, what's the other guy's name? Dick Byrne. The guys who just really don't get on, but they're kind of, it's in a funny way. One of my favourite episodes is the one where they have the talent show, and they're on the phone, and he's like, £5, you know, that's a great, I love that kind of rivalry. So we just stuck an American company and rival company, and also with the idea of that it's in recession, and the zombies are dying out, so the company is failing. So it's all just kind of boils into great comedies.
Were there any, I'm just curious, were there any times when, if you talk about the overall narrative and then you had to do it episodically, was there any time that you came completely, I'm stuck, you know?
I think the most drafts I ever did on a script was 12, and that was for the 5th episode, because we had got down to the final 2 and we really wanted it to just be the best episode it could be, because that was the decider. So I think I did 12 drafts of the script in 20-something hours. So I'd be on the laptop, I'd send it to Connor would hit me back with feedback, and then I'd write it again and then send it back, and then it was just a constant thing. That was the most I ever did. But
and did you find as you were going into like episode 6 or 5 or 6, like coming towards the end, that you were putting more and more detail into it? I mean, did you feel the pressure building?
Oh yeah, but because it's a competition, you want to win. No matter what, you just want to put the best you can into it.
Yeah.
Like, I think in the 5th episode, we put an 8-foot tall monster into it. Eddie Durkin from the Hardy Books, an 8-foot tall monster. So it was just like about getting the best things we could crammed into it. So it was really fun actually.
Yeah. And then, but like basically, you never sort of caved in. You
No,
just
I never.
sort of,
You can't really, as a writer, cave in. I know
No.
writer's block is one of the worst things in the world. But you can't really kind of just say, oh no, and throw it aside. But you can, but it's not going to help. You have to keep working on it and just come up with new ideas. So I never really caved in or had any arguments or anything about like the writing process.
and have you moved away now from zombies?
We have. I work on a show. I don't know if you've all seen it, called Republic of Telly. On I think it's on Network 2 on Monday nights. Plug.
It's
I
very good.
write sketches. Just this season I started writing sketches called The Republic with
Oh, yeah.
Bernard, Jen, and one person I saw. So you can check me out on RTE player. Yeah, so I kind of moved away from the zombies, but I'm still in the comedy, but more kind of just kind of.
And is that working on your own, or are you working in a writing team? Or
There's
what
me
way?
and a guy called Will Foot we're both writing, and we come up with the ideas and then we kind of separate and do an episode each.
And is that a different kind of writing? Like, is this dialogue writing that you're doing now?
It's more dialogue based, but kind of weirder ideas. The last episode we did was on Monday, which is where they forget one of the characters' cakes for his birthday. So he has to go off and rub this TV presenter called John Creed. He's on the Ireland Talent Show. Dermot has to rub his feet to get a cake off him, but he doesn't actually have the cake. So to get a cake, so he rubs the guy's feet for no apparent reason. So it's just a weird writing process.
And are you coming up with something every week? Do you have to come up with, is that sort of a new idea every week?
Every week we'd sit down in a room and go, this is what I'm going to do this week now. This week I worked on, there was a series on TV called Face Street, I don't know if anybody's ever saw it, but I wrote a kind of comedy version of Face Street, where one of the characters is a sleazy landlord to the girls out Face Street, so that should be on out in about 2 weeks, I'd say. So it's a different.
Tell us, Stephen, where do you get your ideas from? I mean, it just sounds like when you've actually put all of those things together.
Oh, I drink a lot. No, I don't know. I just, it's one of those things, you're sitting there and we have a discussion with someone, say, at something, and you just come up with an idea straight there. So it's just about taking a small factor of an idea and expanding it out, basically.
And is it, do you read a lot? Do you read a lot of other people? Do you look at a lot of films?
Oh,
do you look at a lot of stuff online?
I watch too many films, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I try to watch a film a day. That's how. I think heroin addiction would be cheaper, to be honest with you. That's what it is. But no, I watch films and I read comic books and I read lots of books and anything. I read anything.
And so you're reading. Have you got a book all the time? Have you got?
Yeah,
I'm reading
a book. Yeah,
Okay.
I read a book. There's not like 1 week where I don't read a book.
What have you read in the last week?
I can't remember.
In the last 2 weeks?
I actually read a book called The Producers, about actually producers in America,
Okay.
like Dean and stuff like that. So that's the last one.
And how are a couple of films that you've seen recently that you've just sort of...
I went to see Limitless last night, and Battle Los Angeles was last night, but I like to try to see the films that aren't like Hollywood films, like Dog 2. Actually, just some great Irish films that you have to see. The Wakewood is a New York film, that's out this week. I was actually an extra on that, so you can actually... I was in the car while someone was carrying a bloody child, so if you see me in it, just let me know. I just try to get to see as many films as I can.
So basically you're looking at stuff all the time, reading stuff all the time, looking online presumably, looking at different ideas.
I think online is a great way of learning because like even websites like College Humor or 5-second films, if you're ever on YouTube, 5-second films, they're just 5-second long films, but they're one of the funniest things you'll ever see. So it's just great stuff. It's a great way of learning how to get like a joke in 5 seconds. It's just brilliant.
And have you seen Friday, the music video?
Oh, I heard about it. The Rebecca Black, is that her name? Yeah, I saw them I saw something on Conan about her, but I haven't...
You haven't watched the video?
It's just for about the
53
days of the
million
week or
people.
something, isn't it? It's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd say she's pretty clever.
That's one to deconstruct. You haven't heard the Bob Dylan version, and you haven't...
No, I haven't heard it.
Has anybody here heard the Bob Dylan version of it? And do you reckon it's real or false? False. Okay.
That's a great thing. Like, you guys are making films here. Put them on YouTube because you never know who's going to look at them. We made a video on the Republic of Telly called Rugby by Dead Cat Bounce, which is the same rugby. And Russell Crowe tweeted it last week on his Facebook page, and it's on Will Ferrell's website, Funny or Die. So you never know who's going to see your stuff. It's a great way of getting stuff out there for nothing. It's free. Like, YouTube's great. Like.
Well, congratulations and thank you very much.
Don't get too close and don't get too near, 'cause it'll weigh